I like his beard. He's not been to the barbers for the past 2 years.
Oh, that's not true. Are you
He's
serious?
maintaining it seriously.
That's not
for
true.
fear that he may not come back.
Oh, no, it will come back.
So it took 2 years to get
No,
here.
not at all. Not at all.
okay. Let our
This one
Facebook-
I can take it off.
for-
I can take it off
Please
today.
let the man.
I can take it off
give his
today, and on
credentials.
Monday when I come back, I'll still have.
Eh.
I'm daring you.
Oh, yeah. What's in it for me?
There's nothing. I'm daring you. I'm daring you. Look, you can get onto Facebook. Look at this man's beard and tell me whether he's been shaving it. Like 2 years.
Maybe he's been maintaining it with some templates.
Anyway, let's get to our Drive Safe campaign brought to us by Joy News and the Multimedia Group and supported by Toyota Superior Quality and Imperial General Assurance Solid Protection. So avoid all distractions, keep both eyes on the road and hands on the steering wheel. Be visible, drive with your lights on at night, and that's how you drive safe.
Well, what do the NPP primaries and house chores have in common?
NPP primary.
Sorry, NDC primaries and house chores. What do they have in common?
Tell me.
Well, let's find out on Say It Right, brought to you by Kingdom Books. At Kingdom, quality and affordability are their hallmarks.
Something must be done.
You say either, I say either.
The NDC primaries are looming. I'm sure you can imagine the frantic efforts of candidates to mop up the last of the delegates with their final appeals for votes. That reminds me, here's a word I keep hearing people mispronounce. Mop. M-O-P. Mop. A simple enough word, I would have thought, yet it would amaze you just how often people say it wrong. It's not mob, it's mop. An instrument often made of thick strings used to clean floors. A mob, on the other hand, is a large disorderly crowd often intent on causing trouble. Now, how could anyone confuse these two totally unrelated words? Beats me. Think about it while you mop the bathroom floor this morning. Well, let's hope there won't be a mob at the primaries this weekend. Let's hope it all goes smoothly.
Well, it depends on a thing or two. Even if the primaries would come off, we still don't know.
Yes, the courts might be the deciding place.
Let's see how it goes.
All right, then. We'll talk about that a lot this morning on the show. Stay tuned for all the latest. But now it's time for the news review brought to us by First Atlantic Bank. Refreshingly different.
So let's start with the finder for this morning and ensure the true value of assets. National Insurance Commission cautions against over and under insurance. And, the Commissioner of Insurance, Justice Ofori, now he's talked about the fact that some people sometimes engage in insurance fraud and all of that. But I think there was a court ruling that if I came to you and I said I was insuring my asset for this amount of money and you took it, when, disaster strikes, that's what I'm entitled to.
Yeah.
The court actually ruled that once you take the money, you have to pay. So when I come and tell you my house is 1 billion, and you looked at me and said, okay, I would insure your house for 1 billion cedis. If I lose my house, you have to pay me the 1 billion because that's what we agreed on. And 7 construction workers injured in church building collapse. And, that's a story that we've been following for some time now. Just this morning, I've been watching the news, even on the Joy News channel. The fact that 7 construction workers have been injured after a church building collapsed on them at Old Botiano in the Gansouth Municipal Assembly. Now, the entire 3-story auditorium of the Word in Action Church collapsed yesterday morning while construction work was ongoing. Now, the National Disaster Management Organization says it's brought its search for any possible traffic to an end. So 7 people were rescued, from the collapsed building. And I asked myself very simple questions. Yesterday we were talking about, how 3 buildings had collapsed in a week, raising questions about the quality of work that we do, for instance, and the kind of monitoring that even goes on once these buildings are being put up. The sort of permits that they must even get. And I say this because, look, most of the time you see produce permits, which we are now told that you must, write to the people to get them to produce their permits. But we stay there, watch people start buildings. Sometimes we don't even have plans and, the structural plan of anything they want to do. So the question is, how do you even check the integrity of the building?
Yeah. I mean, ideally, it's something that you should be doing together with the assembly. They give you the necessary permits. I mean, to even see whether the land and what you are building there is even suitable, among others. Then they have to help you throughout with the process just to make sure that we have good structures. I think we did a story yesterday from UDS, 6-story had collapsed. Then now this morning we are seeing this in the papers about 7 injured in the church collapse. Quite
And
unfortunate.
God, He likes to give warnings. He likes to give you as many opportunities to fix the problem before disaster strikes. Look, this is something I know a little bit about. This is actually the area in which I'm trained. In Ghana, our building regulations are some of the best in the world. There are 13 different points during your construction process when the assembly is supposed to come and inspect. And if you do not pass the inspection, you cannot continue. 13. In the UK, I think it's only 9. In the US, probably fewer. But in Ghana, 13 at 13 different stages during your construction. The assembly must come, inspect what you are doing, approve it, tick it off before you can continue. I mean, lots of people listening to us this morning have built in this country. They've built their own homes, or they've built, structures for business or churches or whatever. How many times did the assembly come to your site while you were building? So as a country, we completely ignore life-saving laws. And I don't know why. These people, the inspectors are there. We've paid them. We pay them every month. They're sitting in the office. And buildings are collapsing. Every time a building collapses, we should be able to draw a straight line to the person who failed to inspect it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we are also failing to do is people are not taking legal action. I mean, because of how long the legal process takes sometimes, they are not taking legal action against the assemblies.
Yeah.
I mean, because clearly the assemblies, one way or the other, are responsible for what happens.
You see, finally on this, and I say this because about 20 years ago, we were supposed to, build in some part of Accra. Now, when we went to the assembly told us that this is a waterway. Okay? And so, yes, you may have bought the land, but you can't build here because if you build, your home would get flooded.
Yeah.
We stopped. Years after, somebody encroached on the land and he's built. Can you imagine?
What a joke.
Somebody's encroached on the land and he's built.
And if this person is a very wicked person, he just lifts the platform and he just pushes it. Whatever challenge was supposed to come to his end to someone else's end. So the water does not pass there.
Because you could see, you could see a stream a stream close to the land, and the usual thing is that I have a water body close to me. The assembly said, well, it will flood when it rains heavily, so don't build here. This is a waterway. Unfortunately, somebody goes to build there. Anyway, still with the finder, TUC demo hits Sunan Asogli to reinstate 3 dismissed union leaders. And Akosia Menu leads initiative to unearth basketball talents. Lots of things happen when you're getting into that season.
Yeah, when you want to contest, you have to work.
You work hard.
That's when they organize their punch cup and those things.
Everything. You do a lot of things.
I didn't know Akosia Menu was running for office.
Well, she wants to be MPP's parliamentary candidate for Adenta.
She's been working in the First Lady's office for some time, hasn't she?
And now she went to National Youth Authority as a deputy CEO. Yeah, that's where she is now. Okay. ECD, a convenient option for the unbanked, according to Bank of Ghana. And that's it for the finder.
I have the daily guide. The front page says NPP constituency album verification opens today. And cable thief jailed 10 years. FDA warns public over polyphotes from Nigeria. And NDC presidential polls in limbo. Dufo goes to court. It's also on the front page. That story about the 7 injured in church collapse is also on the front page. Some other stories on the back page. PSG shortened Messi suspension, and father denies Saudi move. It's also coming from the Messi camp. So 2 Messi stories.
Oh, they've shortened his suspension. They give him 2 weeks. Let him, finish the 2-week suspension.
Said he'll be available for match selection against. That is on Saturday. He was suspended last week and missed out on practice while the rest, but they found that they took the decision to shorten the suspension, originally reported by the French media, after the World Cup winner apologized to the club and his teammates and fans for missing practice last week. And so he will still be fined 2 weeks' wages, approximately 1.6 million euros. Kojo Yankson.
1.6 1.6 million euros.
Yeah. So 2 weeks wages.
Let's go on.
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
For some people, their lifetime employment will not get that.
Yes, yeah, the why.
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah. Sometimes when you hear this, you check your salary and say, hey.
But I always say that for footballers, at least their salary, it's there's one way to look at it too. The other way is the fact that it is his today and tomorrow. He has a career span that terminates worst case 40 years.
Exactly.
And if he
he
lives,
becomes
if
a
he
pilot.
lives,
That's the best
if he
case,
lives
actually.
to, yeah, and if he lives to 70, the rest 30 years of his life, he virtually is not someone, unless you struggle to acquire some skill or you perform within the
Yeah,
arts,
you acquire
you
some skill
virtually-
like Gary Lineker and get onto the BBC.
Yeah, but they can't all get onto the
Exactly.
So a lot of them will majority of them will most likely not be able to earn from their talent.
You know what teams
for
do?
30 years, 40
Oh,
years.
you know what teams do these days? For some of the best players like these, what they do, and you can use the example of Emmanuel Eboué, for instance. When his divorce left him worse off, his former club actually employed him as a youth coach. Yes, they get some,
Yeah.
And they'll find ways and means of getting it in. And now that West Brown is declared as filed for bankruptcy, they'll find a way of getting him something. Very soon you'll see West Brown, becoming a pundit and engage in some discussions here and there. You get some money.
But
Others will become coaches like Wayne Rooney.
and others
Lampard.
will get nothing. Absolutely
Of course,
nothing.
others will get nothing.
And it makes you now understand why allegedly some players would give their 80% of their income to their mothers to squirrel away for a rainy day, because one day there will be nothing. If you can live on 20%, live on that for for the period of your playing career, and then you have the 80% waiting for you one day.
Winston, there's this interesting story. The MPP, as far as I know, the primary is not anytime soon.
It's on the 4th of November.
Yeah, but they are doing constituency album verification. So from May 10, they begin verification of constituency albums across the country ahead of the polls. So this follows a directive by the National Council at its meeting held on April 3. They said that they'll be coordinating with the constituency executives. So they said the verification exercise committee shall be constituted to supervise the process in each constituency. The committee is instructed to collaborate to scrutinize the album to ensure transparency for this important exercise.
Look, I think that the NPP has learned a lot of lessons, and is also learning lessons from the challenges the NDC may be going through. Now, as a party that seeks to break the 8, it must learn lessons from its last primary when it was in office in 2007. Now, that particular presidential primary, many have argued, affected the party's chances in the 2008 general elections. And so you don't want to do anything that at the last minute people start raising concerns. If you have any concern now, go and raise it. This is May. The elections are in November. We would solve it, and then that's the end of it. So that's what they would want to do. So I think it's a good thing that the NPP has done that. And so for all political parties that want to have their primaries going forward, they should estimate these things early so that there'll be no challenges. Let's get to the Ghanaian Times. An unfair dismissal of union leaders, workers demo against Ackah-Blay demand reinstatement of 3 sacked workers. Now, Ghana Water Company Limited disconnects Guinness Ghana Brewery over 6.7 million unpaid bills. Guinness has issued a statement that says they have not been disconnected.
Yes.
They've actually complained to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, and they held meeting with them and the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. But if you read this story, which is on page 13 of the Ghanaian Times, it says the Accra East region of the Ghana Water Company has disconnected Guinness Ghana Breweries over 6.7 million in unpaid bills, and this was in line with a revenue mobilization exercise started in April this year. And you can see in here a photograph of a Ghana Water Company Limited technician closing the valve of the water pipeline.
Yes, I heard from Stanley Marty as well. We actually did a bit of it on the news this morning. He says if they claim that they've not been disconnected, they should wait. When their stock runs out, they will know where to get water from, since they insist that they've not been disconnected.
Anyway, still on the front page, 7 injured after
Some
collapse.
people find it embarrassing to be disconnected for not paying their bills. So pay the bill.
I mean, they said they have a dispute. They filed a dispute with the
The
PRC.
reclassification in September this year is what they're disputing. 7 injured after collapse of a church building at Old Botiano. And pension bondholders picket for second day at Ministry of Finance. Now, you exempted these persons. You've paid coupons. Their principals have not been paid. Pay them.
You remember your conversation with John Kuma last time when you were talking about this exemption on exemption? You see, he said something, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, we're exempt, but subject to government's ability to pay."
Yes, I remember.
I think that's exactly what is playing
But you
out
see,
now.
this is the point. This is the point. Now, some 137 billion was advertised as the debt exchange value. At the end of it, we said we had exceeded the 80% target because for some reason it reduced to about 90 billion. We're told for some reason some of them were converted to treasury bills.
Yeah.
Convert their monies to treasury bills. They pay them.
I mean, that's if they are interested in doing that.
They would
Because
be interested in that.
no, I'm raising this issue because if you remember when the technical committee started work, this was one of the issues that they were going into the discussions with. And the pensioner bondholders said that they are not interested in participating in those discussions because, as far as they are concerned, it's not their business to engage with their debtors to explain to them how they can help them not pay their money
So
to
you've
them.
reached a stage where you now have to pay their principals. How do you pay it? So if you convert it into treasury bills, can you pay them? I am sure the pension bondholders would actually agree. Now they're making other proposals, do this, do it, but I think if you tell them, look, I want to pay you, and so treasury bills, quarter, 91 days, you get all your monies, they can understand. Why do we have to let old people be picketing at the finance ministry? It's like we don't care. These are people who have served the country. They've served the country for years, used their little pensions, invested them in government of Ghana bonds, and all of a sudden we're treating them like they don't matter in this country. And if you treat, the pensioners like this, do you expect people, so you expect the nurses and doctors to stay in this country and work when they can see people struggling to survive? Let's get to the online news.
Which is brought to us by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy.
And looking for a bank that understands you and puts your financial needs first? Don't look too far. Zenith Bank is your bank of choice, and we have products tailor-made for you, whether you're young, old, an entrepreneur, student, salaried worker, a corporate entity, an SME, a pensioner, a parent, a Ghanaian resident abroad, or a foreigner resident in Ghana. At Zenith Bank, everyone can bank with us. Join the Zenith Bank family today for an unrivaled banking experience. Talk to us on 0302 680884 or 0307 086370 or email us at info@zenithbank.com.gh. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
All right, and Kwabena Dufour seeks injunction against NDC primaries. That's the top story on myjoyonline.com. Let's see what else is there this morning. Right. Attorney General responds to Multimedia's request for information on missing Ghanaian fisheries observer. That's one we've been calling for quite some time now. Information now coming through. Donald Trump has been found guilty of sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll, who he claims he doesn't even know. Yeah. All right. Let's see what's on citynewsroom.com this morning. Farmers will vote for me to become NPP's 2024 flag bearer, and that is the claim of Dr. Efriye Akoto. All right then. Let's do the BBC News. It's brought to us by Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.